Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of Live with Mz.KIR. I am your host, Tanisha Jacob. No S at the end, okay? There's no I at the end. There's no Y at the end. It's Tanisha Jacob, period. Also known as Mz.KIR. Capital
Bring
K.
the noise. Bring the noise. Bass. How low can you go?
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to the stage. Working lady in
Capital K, capital I, capital R.
Exactly.
That's me, keeping it real. The poetic lyricist, Mz.KIR, affectionately known as Topra. Shout outs to James Ellerby and Orlando Chandler for giving me that name. Yes. Well, we're going to talk amongst ourselves for a few minutes while we wait for some people to come on. Okay. So Maurice, how you doing? Maurice?
I'm doing all right. Can't complain. Thankful for another day.
Praise God.
Okay.
Right. That's right.
That part. Okay. Dr. Murphy, how you doing?
feeling blessed, man. You know,
That's right.
Okay.
High end problems at this point in my life, man. That's what they all are, right? You got to have faith that whatever you're going through, he's going to take care of you. So everything else is a high end problem.
Right. Okay, North Philly, how you doing?
How you doing? Yo, man, I feel energized. I feel refreshed with these two fine gentlemen on the show tonight. Yeah, I mean, I know it's going to be an interesting conversation, dialogue, and I mean, thank you again, Mz.KIR, for letting me be on your journey. Poessence, obeying her thirst. You know what I'm saying? You know, we gonna be breezy. That's how we gonna do this.
We gonna be breezy. Oh, Poessence is having some audio issues. She says everyone's voice sounds digitized.
Oh no.
Oh no, Poessence. Say it ain't so.
No.
Say it ain't so, Poessence. Say it ain't so.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. We can hear you a little.
But you sound like a robot.
Like Mr. Roboto.
Yeah, everybody kind of sounds like Mr. Roboto on my end. Like we
Yeah.
Oh no.
It's all your fault. No kidding. It's supposed to keep those thoughts on the inside. They got everybody this time. We attacked.
I'm sorry. Cause you sound like everybody got so Mr. Roboto. You know what I mean? Everybody gonna start singing along in a minute.
So why you send them after me? That's what it was. I'm sorry about the forehead joke.
Yo, it's just coming off like that, man. I'm like, yo, that's that AI. Listen, I'm telling you, the AI be letting you know evil lurks.
Oh no. Did she log off or did the drop squad get her?
I think the drop squad got her.
Yeah.
I agree. I think the drop squad got her.
Oh
Hopefully she back on, right?
Yeah, hopefully. Let me see. Oh no. The drop squad done got Poessence.
Say it ain't so, Poessence. They got you.
Say it ain't so.
No.
Remember on Little House on the Prairie? Say it ain't so, Paul. Say
it ain't so, Paul. Little House on the Prairie.
That was the show back in the day.
That was the show. Wait a minute. Poessence?
I'm back. It still sounds like a little bit of feedback, but I'm back. Do I still sound like a robot?
Yeah, you sound bad.
Yeah. You felt that? Yeah. Look, we can hear you, but it's like, you know what I mean? Digitalized.
Yeah. in a real way.
Yeah, man.
Oh no.
No, man. No. Say it isn't so.
Say
No,
it.
Pa.
Oh, no.
Did she go again?
Oh no. Oh. All right. Where are the people at tonight? Like we're like 5 minutes in. Where y'all at? Well, we're gonna get started because
Let's go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, for those who will catch this, because you're running on CP time, it's all up here on live
Yes.
here. Okay. So I am your host, as I was saying, Tanisha Jacob, no S at the end, aka Mz.KIR, capital K, capital I, capital R, which stands for Keeping It Real, the poetic lyricist. Welcome to another episode of Live with Mz.KIR. We're being breezy on this Friday night. Who is Mz.KIR? Well, Mz.KIR, I am a mom of two. I'm a poet, and I'm breezy. That's all I gotta say.
Short and sweet.
Right. North Philly, tell the folks out there in YouTube land who you are. North Philly, remember who you are. Am I possibly from?
I'm gonna watch The Lion King after this one too. Watch. North Philly finest. I mean, Pop, the 5 wonderful grandchildren. First and foremost, I'm a child of God. Everybody should know that. You know what I mean, Pop, the 5 wonderful grandchildren. Poet, spoken word artist, author. As of late, an actor. Wow, imagine that. You know, and you know, just glad to be again on Mz.KIR's journey on Live with Mz.KIR, as also some people know me as the Black Ed McMahon. Yes, you are correct, sir.
Oh, okay. Maurice, tell the folks out there in YouTube land who you are. Maurice, remember who you are. Maurice?
Well, shout out to the whole PHS family between 89 and 92. You know who you are.
Stand up, P-Phil.
Community activist since 2001. I did my stretch between 2001 and 2018 in Plainfield. Learned a lot about my hometown. Understood why things were the way they were. 2004, started my own consulting company through the Small Business Development Center here in New Jersey. So I've been doing consulting since 2004 in entrepreneurship, advertising and marketing, fundraising. I did a lot of business networking dinners in the city of Plainfield from 2004 to about 2006. So that's how I built my little community reputation. From 2015 to 2018, I was the Plainfield NAACP Economic Development Chairman for 3 years. My responsibility was to help people start their businesses legally in the city of Plainfield and throughout the state. I'm a father. Pretty much other than that, a big video game junkie at 51. That's like my outlet. A diehard fisherman since I was a kid. That was my other escape. But I just relaunched my company again, worked with the SBDC this year. So if I'm lucky, I will be blessing the city of Plainfield with my first community event right after Christmas break. And once I get all of the details together with that, then the invitation and everything will go out for Plainfield and Union County. But that's about it.
Well, Dynamite.
All right, impressive.
Okay, Dr. Murphy, Tell the folks out there in YouTube land who you are.
Sure. And I remember, right?
Yes.
That's a good thing.
Well, my name is Dr. Michael Anthony Murphy, double-boarded child and adolescent psychiatrist, corrective exercise specialist, and most importantly, a child of God, right? Double-boarded, started off at Florida A&M University. First of all, I hail from Fayetteville, North Carolina, Vietnam. Went to school at Florida A&M University and then the University of Florida for College of Medicine, the University of Virginia for residency and fellowship. Stationed or focused out here in the Hampton Roads area, Virginia. And really, I've been everything, right? Sometimes too much of everything. But I used to be a chief behavioral health over the military base here at Fort Eustis, acute as well as residential hospital physician, medical director over at Harbor Point Behavioral Health Center, which was residential for children. I've worked in PAC teams in the community. In addition, I've had my own private practice for several years, stepped away from that, but now I do 100% telehealth. And about a year and a half ago, I made a decision to really focus on not just mental health, but on overall wellness, with focusing on mental, physical, and spiritual health, as well as financial health, with the understanding that financial health is because it's a little different for everybody, right? And I started a company called the Leo Ascension, right? Lessons in empowering and overcoming to help you ascend to your highest level of wellness in your mental, physical, spiritual, and financial health. And that's what I've been doing over the past year and a half. Some posting, started a website, began my own podcast, and now really trying to get a movement where I'm getting out in the community more. So you'll see more workshops, live events, long form video. Started that on my YouTube channel, Leo Ascension. And that's where we're going to start this process of building something that's really going to hopefully have a significant impact on people. As I said, God's began a good work in me, and I know he'll see it through to completion. And so we're on a mission.
Very impressive.
Very
impressive.
Very.
And shout out to Poessence. Hopefully she'll be able to join us.
Rejoin us, yes.
In the meantime, in the tradition of the Writer's Block, long live the Writer's Block, established January 21st, 2009. Long live the Writer's Block. Open mic coming up. Open mic part 8 coming up on October 25th. Okay, we're gonna have some dope poets. Okay, we're gonna be breezy on the stage on October 25th. We're gonna represent. So that's the announcements. And now for the celeb birthdays. So drum roll, please.
Bring the noise. Sorry, the record flipped. It just flipped.
We have Gwen Stefani, ASAP Rocky, Alicia Silverstone, Susan Sarandon, Armand Asante, Lil Mama, Rich Homie Quan, Kate Winslet, Cardi B, T.I., Snoop, Fannie Lou Hamer, Tony Braxton, Bruno Mars, Chevy Chase, Bella Thorne, Stacey Winans, Nick Cannon, Jesse Jackson, Ben Vereen, Maya, the singer. Now for the non-celebrity birthdays. Drum roll, please. Okay, we have P. Fields, James Parrish, Ernie Collins, Jarrell Ford, P. Fields, stand up, and Jessica Myers. P. Fields, y'all in the building. Y'all need to be in the building. Stand up. I'll just shout y'all out. Okay. And shout out to your Mz guy. Okay. If you need some CMOS, see your Mz guy. Okay. I put in my order for my CMOS because health is wealth. All righty then. Also for the birthday for the month of October, we have Shanta Shine the Poet. We have my Scorpion brother, Crow Attaway. He's an October Scorpio. Justine Wonderment Luca. We have Dolores Chalmers, Dina Wells. We have Heavenly Harmonies, who was a guest
Okay, Heavenly Harmonies.
back in December, and she was also on the open mic twice this year. Also, we have for non-celebrity birthday, Lindsay Aaron and Henry Busby of the Writer's Block. That's my peeps. Him and his wife, Turia, are my favorite couple. Love them. Shout outs to them. We also have Walker Valdez, who was a guest back in July, or was that July?
Walker.
And we also have Keisha Short, aka Classy Poet, who was a guest back in August, I think. And we also have Anawa. I hope I didn't butcher your name, Anawa. I have known you long enough to know how to pronounce your name, so if I butchered it, sorry. So, and also we have for October birthday, Sankofa, the daughter of the late, my friend Isis Original's daughter. Sankey, if you're watching, shout outs to you, aka Honey Soul Taker Original, or also known as Offset Original. So those are the non-celebrity birthdays for the month of October. And if you have a birthday in the month of October, then you get a shout out, and you get a shout out, and you and you and you, because it's all love here on Live with Mz.KIR.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
No one ever knows how many verses they should sing of that song.
It's longer than Bill Withers' Lovely Day.
All right, so now we're going to get the party started. Welcome to the party. Welcome to the party, because we like the party here on Live with Mz.KIR. It's going to be a good show. Going to be a good show. So share this. Okay, share this. It's going to get some information, and we're going to be breezy at the same time, because breeziness and edges matter. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Poessence is back.
Yes, Poessence is back. North Philly, do you have a question for Maurice, and also a question for Dr. Murphy as well?
Yes, I do. So, Maurice, the entrepreneurship that you were talking about, is that just restricted just for New Jersey, or are you branching out with your endeavors?
Oh no, I've done consulting I've got people that I've consulted with and consulted for in Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi. It's just that my base is in New Jersey because that's where I was born and raised.
Mm-hmm.
But over the years, I've met people who lived in Jersey and moved about. When I started my spiritual work and started posting on Facebook that I read tarot and oracle cards, I've helped someone start their spiritual business in Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter where you are, thank God to technology. You know what I mean? It's just a matter of connecting and having a time to sit and find out, what the person endeavor is.
So are you consulting, is your consulting like referring to financial improvement or
it all depends on when I do consulting, it all depends on like what the person needs. You know what I mean? If they're just strictly interested in starting a business, I walk them through first the psychology of entrepreneurship, because that usually scares half of the people away when they find out, time management and all of that other stuff that they never even thought about. Because first thing somebody thinks about is a business card, a website, a product, a service. You know what I mean? They don't sit and think about,
It's more to it.
Yeah, it really is. And entrepreneurship you know, when I started out, and I could tell people proudly, I was a young puppy being pulled around on a string trying to get to know the who's who and hanging out with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And now I have a nervous steel.
Okay.
You know, so it's personal development and self development and entrepreneurship that comes along with walking that road, because in 5 to 10 years you totally become a different person.
Absolutely. What would be like? I got one more question. What would be like one of the examples of of a beginning entrepreneurship for a beginner, like somebody who wants to open up a bookshop or something like that? What kind of advice would you give to that person?
Well, the first thing I tell everybody, you know, even friends and family, people that are close to me that, you know, ask me about entrepreneurship, I said the first thing I need for you to do is write down your top favorite three things to do,
Hmm.
and then be able to narrow it down to two and one. Because in entrepreneurship, the money is just a reward.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? But if you are not making money at what really excites you, because I could tell people you could be in love with making pencils or something. And I said, it doesn't matter how crazy or offset it sounds to somebody else.
Right.
Whatever excites you or keeps you up, or your passion, as everyone likes to say and use, that's what you're supposed to be doing.
Okay.
Now, if you look at the world, there's 10,000 other people that's doing the same thing that you're doing that is successful at it, but your starting point and your resources are going to be different from theirs.
Okay. From a different
So,
vantage point.
yeah, so the first thing is I tell somebody, because that's usually what stumps people. When I tell them to write down your three favorite things, if you could quit your job, if you could just call out of work tomorrow and get to go do anything, your favorite thing to do, what would that be? A lot of
Mhm.
people can't even answer that. And I
Okay.
say without turning on the TV, the radio, or picking up a cell phone. A lot of people can't, they don't have that answer. And I said, see, you're already stumped because you as an individual don't know what you like to do or what you enjoy doing.
Right. A lot of people are stagnant in their own, or I guess repetitive notions in life. I mean, from my point of view, a lot of people are, just, they're stuck in a repetitive cycle, and they can't see past their own, nominal success.
Well, we've all been trained to go to school, get a job, get a pension, get married, have kids, retire, collect Social Security, and die. That's
Hmm.
probably about 85% of the comfort zone of the United States and the world abroad.
Okay.
Now, stepping
Okay.
out of that and stepping into entrepreneurship, it's a whole nother world.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's a lot. Like I said, when I talk to people about the psychology and the startup of entrepreneurship, like
Hmm.
your business and your business card and website and stuff is like irrelevant in the beginning.
Okay.
Because if you don't understand you know, where you are, your demographics, you know, your resources and things like that, it's all a waste of time.
Absolutely. And nobody wants to
Because I
waste
know
it.
people who've been in business 15, 20 years when I met them, and excuse my French, they ain't got a pot to piss in.
Mm, that's very
And
true.
it's not their fault. It's not their fault. It's just that they haven't buckled down and focused and put themselves into that box. And I'm not being a hypocrite, because in the beginning, that, you know what I mean, I was the same way. Somebody
Hmm.
told me, very successful, Darius Griffin. I don't know if any of y'all know Darius, but he
Uh,
owned Port Africa. And he
okay.
said the average business owner, they don't see any profit in their business between 3 to 5 years.
Mm, that's interesting.
And people don't want to hear that because they got bills to pay.
Right. So people want
but
the fast
it's an
money.
investment.
Right.
It's an investment.
They think that money's going to come overnight, but it doesn't happen that way.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately,
Yeah.
that's what they
So
buy into, right?
yeah, the money is just the money is just a reward. When people say I'm rich, okay, are you financially rich, resource rich, people rich? Which rich are we talking about?
Yeah. It seems like like I said, they stuck in their own malnourished belief.
Yeah, but it's just like I said, I was the rookie on the block, yo. So I understand, what the young entrepreneur, the confused entrepreneur goes through, because I used to be that person.
Right.
And it's not about bragging or schooling somebody or anything like that. It's just that everybody needs a mentor. Every shrink needs a shrink. The doctor tell you that, right, doc?
Well, I tell you what, part of our training was that we went and sat on the couch for a year. Right? When I went to
That's
University
right.
of Virginia,
Oh, wow.
I did psychotherapy.
Yeah, every shrink needs a shrink, man. So same thing in business. Everybody needs somebody that's willing to hold them accountable, first of all. And that's the other thing. People don't want to be held accountable.
Well, I love the fact you use the word shrink, right? Because the whole idea of a shrink is that you're supposed to shrink a person's neurosis.
Okay.
Right? In a sense, that is what a mentor does. He allows you to decrease your anxiety and your stress related to what it is you need to accomplish. But you have to be willing to listen, learn, and accept correction. And too many young entrepreneurs buy into the idea that no one can tell them anything.
Facts.
Or that no one can tell them what to do with their money. And I was in my I've had a business that got so big I couldn't manage it. Right? I wasn't at that point to be able to scale up, because unfortunately for a lot of us, we learned that you can try to make money, but we don't understand the idea of making the money make money.
Well,
so people caught up. Right?
I'm sorry,
you trade
Dr.
that time for that money. At some point, you're gonna run out of them because they both are non-renewable resources.
Okay.
You can only spend them
once. Well, excuse me. Okay. Hold on. Well, Maurice, hold on for a second. I just want to ask Dr. Murphy a quick question. So, in reference to that, Doc, how you doing? By the way,
doing well.
Man, your resume is impressive. You were in psychology today. You have a very impressive resume. I just want to get right to the root of the question. I saw one of you were speaking on TikTok, and you said something about empower yourself, not your problems. How does that key into what Mr. Huff just said about
Sure.
young kids being so impetuous and they not really listening to mentors, and that's why some, when they venture out into these so-called endeavors that they go out, even if they have the notion to do it, they end up failing. You know what I mean? And next thing you know, it's like they totally they self-destruct. How can you respond to that, sir?
Well, I think Mr. Huff is 100% right in regards to the idea that everyone should have a mentor or someone who can give them guidance, right? Because when we go about it with our own understanding, we look at a problem, but someone who's seen that problem before can right-size that problem for you and help define it in a way that it doesn't become so overpowering, right? And so we are one of the few people who don't really appreciate the experience of the generation before us, because sometimes when it comes to the money, we feel as though they fell behind when we didn't really take into consideration the situations they were dealing with.
Right.
Yet if you talk to someone older who can say, no, son, things don't change. It's a new system, right? Nothing new under the sun. We have to be able to listen to that experience. We have to be able to listen to people like Mr. Huff, who's done this before and done these things. And I think if you don't have an experience or someone who can give you guidance, you're going to speak too much power to your problems. And essentially it becomes something that's so overwhelming for a lot of people, they just stop, right? Just the idea of, he said, your business doesn't make a profit for 3 to 5 years. It doesn't mean you can't pay yourself. The goal isn't for the business to make money, right? But people don't understand the language. We don't have that education in regards to the entrepreneurship, which is in a sense why a lot of people continue to go into the same type of businesses. I'll tell you what, if someone would come to me and say, hey, I'm thinking about opening a bookstore, I'd say, be careful of a brick and mortar. Right? Because that's not where technology is going right now.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I agree with you. Because a lot of books, that's why I just kind of threw that out there, because a lot of books are online. I mean, you know, it's like
I say that because
bookstore is like practically vanishing almost.
Right. I had a private practice. I remember what you paid for rent, electricity, all those things. Thank God I got out of it before COVID, because by then everybody was working from home. I'd be stuck paying rent on a building, and that'd be an expense you have to take on.
You will be in a financial pitfall, right?
Man, look, worse than I was when I stopped that business, I can tell you that. I tell you what, Mr. Huff can tell you this. Mr. Huff can tell you this.
You be like, oops, I did it again.
The average entrepreneur is going to fail at some point.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're going to fail. You have to be able to take risks, lose, and learn from them, and understand that a failure is not a failure unless you fail to learn from it. And that's why you don't call them failures, right? You say you don't speak too much into it. That's not a failure. That's a lesson.
Absolutely.
Willie Jolly said a setback is nothing but a setup for a comeback.
Okay.
Hey, love it.
Love that. I love that.
That's what Willie Jolly said, yo. Yep. And
That's
this was over a decade ago. I ran into that, his videos on YouTube, him and Les Brown. And people think Les Brown is getting old. Knowledge never gets old.
Nah.
Never.
Nah. I love Les Brown. If I may say, I love Les Brown. If anybody know about his whole story and how he started, it was just.
Oh yeah, that was insane, yo.
Highly
he was being aggravating.
he said you gotta fake it to make
aggravating, yo.
Yeah. You know.
And they gave in. He broke. They gave in. Told him to go get him some coffee, and that was the beginning of the whole story, yo.
Yeah, that was it. It was insane. That was insane. But it was just pure delight to know that he still took the risk, and the risk paid off.
Yeah, he said you got to be hungry. But at the same time, people have to understand when you start something new, you have to humble yourself. Mm-hmm. You have to open your mind. You have to open your heart. You have to go into a situation knowing that you don't know anything. You might think you know something, and then somebody throw a phrase across you or a sentence across you, and you're like, okay, never thought about it like that. You know what I'm saying? So you got to humble yourself. And a lot of people, it's a lot of egoism in entrepreneurship, yo. Because it's my business, it's my concept, the reason why I'm relaunching my business with the SBDC, because they're mentoring me. Those are my mentors right now. If anybody knows anything about the Small Business Development Center, that's a whole nother 2-hour conversation. But because I'm a dinosaur, everything is techie now. Everything is advanced. Everything is, you know what I'm saying? So I need to know, listen, I played Atari. Right? I played Atari growing up playing Atari. Right? So the SBDC is catching me up to speed with what's going on, in the entrepreneurship world. So they're mentoring me right now.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that technology thing is hilarious because me and North Philly were just talking about that. I was
man.
Podcast. It took me forever, even with AI and other technology, to figure these things out. And I tell you, for a lot of people, they quit because they get frustrated with trying to learn new things. Right. It's not about what are the 3 things you like to do, but what are you interested in learning about? Right? What are you wanting to expand yourself on? Because truthfully, when you start your own business, you may have a limited view and vision of what could be capable. And if you have a passion for it, then you can grow it into something that can be magnificent.
Right.
But you got to have a passion for it, right? Some people just believe that, hey, I got an idea. You know what? Everybody has ideas. You want to work? a lot of, I can't say everybody want to work. I'll say a good portion of people want to work.
Some people don't want to work at all.
That's it. But you got to be willing to continue pushing forward and find that level of determination.
Right.
Too many people want to run off motivation. Motivation runs weak. Right. That's why you got to always renew it. You got motivation in itself is a business now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. You know what entrepreneurs get to work if you have a 9 to 5? You know when the average entrepreneur actually gets to work? Between 8:30 and 9 o'clock at night. After they work their 9 to 5, come home with the kids, homework, the wife, cooking, cleaning, the husband. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
They don't get to focus on their business until 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. And they're up till midnight.
Time management, right? You mentioned it.
Yeah, time. See, that
Time
scares the heck out of people. That's one of the top 3 things I talk about. And they, well, you ain't ready. You don't have time.
You know,
so you got to make
one
the
of
time.
the first things I did when I started working with a group to expand into what I'm doing now, right? I work full time as a psychiatrist, yet this year I was still able to launch a website, a podcast, post several times a day, do some talks and everything like that. And it's the first thing we were focused on is time management. Budget your time appropriately. Balance yourself out, because if not, you will never grow.
Hey, I totally agree with y'all. I totally agree with y'all.
Yes.
Entrepreneurship has ruined a lot of relationships and marriages too.
I've been there.
That's another thing. I talk about the psychology. See, I get deep into it, yo. And people, they be like, okay, let me get back to you. Yeah, I know, because you're going to go home and reassess and be like, you know what? My job is cool. I'm good.
I'll tell you what happened to me, Mr. Huffman, and I think everybody could learn from this. I started my own private practice, and of course, my wife's a nurse, so she was helping me out, right? She put her dreams aside to help me build mine. And before I know it, she was my IT person, she was my nurse, she was the business manager. And when you are doing something like that, you have to be very conscientious of how much pressure you are putting on the people around you and balance it out, because when all of a sudden the things ain't going right in the business, the things ain't gonna go right at home either. And being able to make that separation, a lot of people just think I can pull this person into this resource. That's not the move. You have to really learn these things on your own. And I've told myself, when I go about it this time, I want to know every aspect of it. Not that you want to micromanage every aspect of it, because people who make money understand how to leverage and scale up by not doing everything and micromanaging. But you better know how to do something if someone doesn't show up who you need to do it. Or you put yourself at someone.
They say if you can't do it yourself, be very careful, because at the end of the day, it's your dream, your business, your ideal. You know what I'm saying? You can't depend on somebody like a product. Like if somebody has a product, you got to know how to make it, buy it, package it, ship it, respond to emails, respond to phone calls. You know what I'm saying? But people is like, oh, I got this and this and this, and oh, well, hey, I think you done messed up somewhere in there. Because you got 50-11 things.
A lot of them struggle to figure that out because they're the product. Right? A lot of people buy the system where they become the product, and they believe they're buying a business, but they're buying a business model, because they never learn how to apply to. And by the time they spend all their money, they don't even have the resources to start what they thought they were going to. So I'm glad that people like you out there, man, because there's a whole lot of other people that go the other route.
Absolutely.
And they're some of the most famous people out there. What I find interesting about the young entrepreneur aspect of it is that we still are so concerned about having fiefdoms that we never connect enough to do networking or building on each other. Right? I started this year with a group, and it was a group of individuals who are all trying to do something, and different races, different backgrounds, different religions, but no sense of competition, because we're all trying to do something, right? I met Crystal, the first guest on my podcast, wasn't someone who I called up a lot of people. Right? Sometimes the people who you want to start off stuff with, they don't show up for you. And so you gotta have right-minded people who are focused on trying to do things at the rate you're trying to do things too. And we don't have enough of that collaboration.
Seems like everybody at each other's throats.
Yeah.
Or just trying to vie for number one spot, not realizing that if we all came together, we can accomplish a lot more.
I'll hit you with this, North Philly. Yeah. All of y'all out there fighting for a little bit of turf. Damn you, big head.
Yeah. That's the absolute truth.
Right. Right.
Dr. Murphy, he never said truer words, man. Cats out there, they killing for corners that been there before they even knew what draws was.
Well, I know you asked the question, but I gotta ask you a question, Mr. Huff. How do you educate the young entrepreneurs on what they need to do to get out of that we all have to be competing thing and learn how to build upon each other? How do you spread that community love?
Yeah, that's a very good question.
Well, first of all, everything that we have on, everything that is physically able to be touched, took a team of people. It didn't take one person, right? Your shirt, your headphones, your cell phone, your chair, your sneakers, everything, right? Cars, houses. It took a team of people. So there's always going to be competition. But here's the thing. In competition, first question is, who are you competing with? And if you're competing with yourself, if you don't understand and have a clear concept or a clear vision of what you want to do, then you'll be competing just with conversating with people.
Right.
The competition starts actually within. You know what I'm saying? Some people will write down, like any author, and Tanisha will probably be able to tell you in North Philly, because they're writers. And the writer's block, Tanisha should be able to tell you Mz.KIR should be able to tell you very well. The title of a book, you'll write the title, and then you'll write the first line, and then you're like, holy crap, okay, wait a minute. Just the first title and the line stumps you. You know what I'm saying? Because you're like, okay, this got to sound right. I got to think this through. Because they say, even in a video, like with TikTok and everything, if you don't catch somebody in the first 10 seconds, you can forget it.
3.
3? Okay. All right. 3, yeah. So
if you don't have a hook,
so competition.
If they don't recognize you, you better have a hook.
Yeah, competition should be motivation. It really should. Because you got to think about it, regardless of what somebody starts, especially in 2025, it doesn't matter what you start. See, Mz.KIR and North Philly, they're competitors. They're in the same genre. You know what I'm saying? They're both poets. They do the same thing. Their only glue is that they're family. But can I ask you a question, Mz.KIR and North Philly? If it was $100,000 on the table between the two of you, somebody got to die, huh? All that family, they're gonna be like, fam, I'll take you out to dinner. I'll take you out to dinner afterwards, but it's gonna be a bloodbath. You know what I'm saying? So the competition thing is good. Look, she like, what cousin? Who North Philly? Somebody I heard about. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
It's all love.
Yeah. No. But what I'm saying is,
I couldn't do it. I ain't got the heart, bro.
Yeah. Look at it, like, you know what, cuz? Yeah, you like, you know what, cuz? I'll call you after it's all over, but I got to dust you off right quick so I can get this money. You know what I'm saying? But here's the thing, competition should be motivation, because there's always going to be somebody out there bigger and better.
Oh man.
And the scary part is one day you might run into that person. And are you confident enough in what you have to be able to say we have the same thing?
Right.
Now the question is, who's been in the game longer? Who has the more experience? Who has the more knowledge? You know what I'm saying? Because you're going to be able to learn something from your competition. You're gonna be able to learn something. So you have to humble yourself, yo, in the beginning. And it's just like you can't go in thinking that you know everything, especially in networking. Because when you're in a room of people, right, it's business ideals, it's different concepts, it's different levels, it's years and generations and decades of information and everything, right? So knowing that when you walk in, because like all my networking events, when you step into a room and you look around and you see different ethnicities, different faces, different styles of people and everything, you first visually go by what you see, right? Until you pull somebody to the side and you get to talking to them. And by the end of the night, you don't talk to 15 people, but you like, yo, out of these 15, only 2 made sense. Those are the 2 people that I got to hook up with some kind of way. So the competition thing, it's always going to be competition. Always, yo. And it should be motivation if you're mature enough. A lot of people are not mature enough to go into business. But you will grow up. You will grow up, yo, and when you're in the business circle, you will grow up, yo, because just the the experiences that I've had, some of the stuff was gut punching. You know what I'm saying? But it came with the territory because it helped to structure my personality in business.
Right.
And I tell people I'm very good at switching gears. You know what I'm saying? Like I can hang out, have fun, do whatever. But when it's time to, you know what I'm saying, to get something done and take care of business and being around a certain group of people, I can switch it up in a heartbeat. And I tell people the best conversations I've ever had with all of my business affiliates, directors and principals and superintendents and everybody from A to Z, board of education, the mayors, everybody. I said the best conversations I've ever had with them was after 8 o'clock at night. Because I got to know them as a person. You know what I'm saying? Versus when I first met them and it was business orientated. So the competition, you got to expect it, but you got to be confident in knowing that regardless of what level of your business you're bringing to the table, that there's always room for improvement. Somebody told me a long time ago, and then I'll shut up. When you start a business, build it with the mindset that one day you want to be able to sell it, that it's going to be sellable.
Right.
And I said, wow. You know what I'm saying?
That is very poetic.
Yeah, that's what they said. If you're going to build a business, depending on the type of business, always build it to the point to one day you're going to be able to sell it to somebody. So I've learned a lot, yo, and that's why I tell people like entrepreneurship, it's not, it sounds good, yo, but when you sit down with people and somebody don't even know what their top 3 things to do are, hey, you come back, write them down, come back and talk to me when you figure it out.
It's interesting because I guess the groups I've worked with, I always look at it like this, you want iron to sharpen iron, but you don't want to cut each other down.
Yeah.
And so there's a sense of how do we find each other's strengths and empower each other to move forward. Like when I work with the group I've been working with, I do what I do. The guest who was on my show, she does what I do. But she's a coach, I'm a physician. Yet as a physician, I can look at her and see what she does and say, I admire so much of what you do in regards to your business aspect that I have to be able to humble myself to be able to learn from someone who doesn't have the same degree or this or that. And I think one thing we run into is people get stuck with not being able to get over that concept, right? When we try to mentor people, a good friend of mine is a doctor. We tried to mentor some young men before. And I'll never forget, man, he told me his guy didn't want him mentoring him because the guy said, man, you don't have a good car.
A what?
Here's a 15, 16-year-old person who wants to look at a physician who has a house that's paid for, but whose car is 5 years older. And well, you can't teach them nothing because in their mind, success is that new car. They don't even understand the concept of a car payment.
That's sad.
Yeah.
Very.
Yeah.
It's the mind state of, and the interesting thing about the competition aspect is like, right, you're in competition with yourself. Yet sometimes other people can help push you beyond what you ever imagined you could accomplish.
True that.
True. Very true.
Absolutely.
Your comfort zone. Yeah, your comfort zone. Yeah.
The biggest critique I ever got in my group, which I hold to heart, is they said, Murph, you dream too small. Right? And I didn't want to hear that at first. But then it's like,
that sounds like a good gut punch.
Hey, it was, man. And then I had to say, you know what? What that told me is that they see more in me than I even see in myself.
Yeah.
So why can't I see myself bigger? And when you can see yourself bigger, you don't see other people as competition. You just see as things that you can put into you to make you grow. Right? It's like I can pick up something from that person, whether it be the cadence, their style, the movement. Like I love to watch Charles Stanley. He's a preacher, man. I love and without his moves, he talks. He said, instead of saying I learned to say listen. And I thought about that, right? You say you sound like you're looking for words. You tell somebody listen, you can look for the word, and they're looking for it too.
Yeah, I've been told that too. Did I say a lot? Yeah, I've been told that before too. Like yeah. So you will catch, and Doc can tell you along this journey, you will run into them slogans. You will run into them slight gut punches, and you will get little buttons pressed, and you'll feel some kind of way. But a year or two later, or a couple of weeks, or you'll be like, yo, they was absolutely right, yo. You know what I mean? And it's not harsh or vindictive. It's part of the growth process.
Yeah.
No, I'm also a child and adolescent psychiatrist. And I remember having a conversation with my daughter, right? Because we told her those grades need to be better to achieve what you want to achieve. And she always said, but the teachers are telling me I'm doing just fine. I said, here's what you need to understand. Sometimes the people who tell you you're doing as good as they expected didn't expect much from you.
Wow. That is powerful.
That is.
That is really powerful.
Absolutely.
And so the people who can push you further are the ones you need to listen to. Everybody want to feel like if you say something about me, you personally criticizing me, you making me feel bad, you making me look bad. Like, nah, I'm trying to push you to be better.
So Dr. Murphy, you're saying that they had already low expectations of you, and you more or less made their low expectation of you come true.
Well, we're only limited by our own beliefs and what we can achieve. Right? But many of us will never break through that mindset. And if you want to be a successful entrepreneur or anything you want to go into, you have got to not limit yourself in what you can accomplish.
Right.
And self-doubt is the hardest thing because you fight that your whole life.
That should be my middle name. Oppression.
Well, and then, when you got other people doubting you or other people saying you can push it, you may read that as people telling you you're not working hard enough when they're just telling you what you have the ability to accomplish. And many young people are just fragile in that mind state and the ability to take that. And I'm quite sure Mr. Huff has seen pretty brilliant individuals who could achieve so much, but they couldn't take the constructive criticism necessary to make the changes because they were so dead set on doing it their way. But
I will tell everybody a little secret, yo, and I learned this working with kids because I worked with kids for 5 years.
Mhm.
And God rest her soul, Pastor Yolanda Van Fleet was my first community mentor. I worked at City of Light for like 2 years. And the one thing I learned working with young people all the way up to teenagers is that even with adults, if you cater to the interests of someone, they will give you all of their time and energy. There's a difference in telling somebody what you think they should do and what they need to do versus helping them with what they're interested in and want to do.
Right.
If you are a good
Absolutely.
mentor or a good consultant or a good elder or a good advisor, whatever title you want to put on yourself,
Mhm.
if somebody says, I want to learn how to scramble eggs, right? It's like, I love making scrambled eggs, but X, Y, and Z, right? Or whatever it is. If that is their interest, if that is whatever their interest or passion is, you say, okay, well, first of all, tell me about it. Tell me how you feel about it. Tell me how often do you do it. Tell me what you think your strengths and your weaknesses are. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? And you have them pull out paper and write certain things down so it's in front of them so they can see what they say. They can see how they feel. They can, you know what I'm saying? So they have their own personal critique right there in front of them. And then you go say, okay, now I'll give you my opinion because that's all it is I'll give you my opinion on everything that you've already said and written down.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So you've already empowered them to critique themselves before you even added any advice to what, you think would be helpful to them. Because if they can't get past their own critiques, they definitely don't need to hear or be critiqued from someone else.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to accept it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Or get defensive.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's all the time.
Right?
That's all the time. I mean, if we're talking in terms of young people today, I've experienced, some young adults. I'll say young adults, for some of them, who really want to excel beyond what's expected of them, and they look to a mentor, which in our communities, unfortunately, some of our communities, there are hardly any mentors out there that are worthy enough to actually empower these young kids and give them a better incentive rather than going the route of easy fast money such as drugs, gangs, and of the like. you know so I think that, just again, like, in my opinion, it's just like we have to have more positive role models that will make it a more impactful difference in these young individuals' lives. I think y'all can agree.
You know, it's a lot. It's very complicated, right? In part because sometimes being a mentor, a person may take that as you trying to quote unquote son them. And if they didn't grow up with a father, you ain't gonna be a person telling them what they can do now.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yep.
And then there's a trust factor because if
Yeah.
you grow up without having a support system, it's hard for you to ever be able to trust that someone's not going to try to screw you over.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
And
I was just telling a friend today. I said the worst thing you can do to a kid is break a promise.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
That's the worst thing you can do because once you break a promise to a kid, then they look at you like, wow, you just another this or you just another that, another person who's gonna lie to me, and you know what I mean? And then you become the bad guy.
what do they say? A hero ain't nothing
So
but a sandwich.
Yeah.
yeah, so it's like you said, Doc, it's the trust factor thing. When you and our prime example, my seamstress, right? I've known this woman for over 20 years, and she's a Muslim. I've never seen the top of her head for the first time, because I would go to her house, her husband, very cool and everything, but she had on her hijab, I guess that's what you call it, like the thing that the Muslim women wear, right? So I was used to seeing her in her garment.
It's called a hijab.
Yeah, yeah. One day I went to the house and she opened the door and I almost fainted because she had on jeans and a t-shirt, and I was like, you know what I'm saying? Because it took like 12 years for her to consider me family. You know what I'm saying? And I was just like so honored that, because the Muslim faith is very interesting. You know what I mean? So when I seen her just plainly dressed, just like any other regular person, I was like, yo. So it's the trust factor. The trust factor thing is you have to be able to trust somebody, right? And you can't pressure somebody into doing. You can't even pressure somebody into doing something that they want to do.
Right.
Because they have to have the mindset and the patience with themselves in order to take the baby steps before they can, jump off the cliff and feel good about jumping off of the cliff. Because the baby steps is the steps that's the most frustrating, because that's where most of the thought and all of that comes in at, when they have to analyze themselves. And they tell you, looking in the mirror, that's the worst thing. That's the hardest thing for everybody, yo.
They should do it every day, though, right? Yeah, in fact, you should start your morning off looking in the mirror and reminding yourself of who you are.
Yeah.
Cat Williams said the star player. You got to be in tune with the star player.
That's right. Got to remember who you are.
Yeah, you got to be in
Mindful
tune.
voice.
Yeah, with the star player, yo, which is you. Because that cemetery, yo, is full of ideals, full of dreams, full of shoulda, coulda, woulda, and I wisha. You know what I'm saying? And none of those dreams and or inventions or talent or any of that came to fruition because somebody didn't have somebody. They have friends, family, and everything. It's just like somebody has all of this. Like I was telling my boy's daughter, my niece, I was like, there's certain things that I can talk around with everybody when I'm around, and there's certain things that I don't talk about because it's not the crew's interest. It's not the group's interest. You know what I'm saying? So you have to be able to know when and where to speak on certain things. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't want somebody that you love to death and take a bullet for say something that might damper something that you're really adamant about. So my community stuff, I don't talk to my friends about it. They know what I do. They know the stuff that I've done, but that's not their lane. You know what I mean? So it's mentorship, yo. It's a challenge for the mentor, and it's a challenge for the mentoree, and it's not supposed to be easy. Because at the end of the day, when you're a mentor, that person you're mentoring, eventually they should become family. You know what I'm saying? They should be able to talk to you about any and everything and be like, I know this is off subject, but I got a problem with this.
Well, yeah,
and I don't know whoever.
I'm sorry, my bad.
Yeah, and they'll say, I don't know who else to talk to her about it, but because we've talked about everything else and you've helped me with everything else, what do you think I should do about this? You know what I mean? So it's not supposed to be easy. Do you think elders in the tribe around the world and everything, the people that are 80, 90, 100 years old, do you think that when they're the oldest family member, that they haven't gone through so much, and that, you know what I mean? Like it's easier said than done. It's not supposed to be easy.
Right. Well, I think of it too, though. If you look at it in terms of what a real mentor should be, we can't separate out life like a pie chart, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes the decisions that a person makes about their relationship is what's affecting the energy and the effort they can put into their entrepreneurship. At the same time, the things that they're doing with their body may affect their ability to function in other areas. And so a real mentor has to be able to speak with you about all these things because there's an interplay, right? Mental, physical, spiritual, financial.
Right.
They're able. You got to keep everything spinning. If you don't invest in all those things and keep it spinning, something's going to fall off. Yeah. And so a mentor needs to be able to keep track and ensure you got everything going at the way it needs to be. You don't have to spend them all at the same time, but you got to spend them enough to maintain the momentum to keep you balanced. You know, when I got to pull into certain things, I got to pull out of things. So you should be able to talk to someone and say, hey, listen, shift your focus to this here. Shift your focus to that there, right? Time management, though, again. Right. I got to be able to balance that out because I got to get that effort into it. So the mentor needs to know more than just, you know, he needs to know you intimately in the understanding of how your thought processes work, because also all that affects how you see money.
Yeah. And your spiritual belief. Yeah. A lot of people don't want to talk about their spiritual belief, right? But when you, regardless of what your endeavor is or problem is, whatever your faith or your spiritual belief is, you're supposed to give it to the higher power first. You know what I mean? You're supposed, huh?
I laugh because a lot of entrepreneurs I know, when I think about these things, and you'll know this movement, they praise the universe, not the creator of it.
This is true.
Right? It all becomes, I thought about this, I gave it out there, and the universe brought this to me. It's interesting because when you deal with these circles too, how much of your faith can go into it becomes very funny when you're having these conversations with them.
So, right? Dr. Murphy, would you say that having, if younger people and just people in general, if they have a grounded, more founded, you know what I mean, a spiritual connection, and I mean, you know, just saying it in a general sense, right? You know what I mean, have a spiritual connection. Would you say that's a driving force to really motivate somebody and give them the incentive that they need?
It's important, man, but I don't know about you, but when I turned 18, I took a Pentecostal break for about 10 years, right?
Because that's what he was raised in. I ain't mad at you, Doc.
Right? So I think sometimes, particularly, just like you don't want those mentors to tell you what to do. When I got to a certain age in my life, I didn't want to feel like the church was mentoring me either.
Right.
I was going to go out there and do what I wanted to do. So I had to go out there and get some lumps. Yeah, I never lost my faith. It just wasn't being practiced. Right? I think we're all spirits inside the bodies. You never lose your spirit. And the truth is, the problem we run into is this idea that somehow we're disconnected from God. Whether it be through sin, decisions, behaviors, we're never disconnected. And if you can remind yourself that you're connected, and that goes back into telling yourself that every morning, then you'll recognize that the highest power flows through you because God lives within you.
Right.
And see, if I had thought about that more when I was 18, I probably would have paid more attention to where I was going because God didn't need to be up in the strip club. He didn't need to be in the liquor store. He didn't need to be on the corner spot.
Snoop Dogg birthday is today. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like
you take your God with
what we doing that?
But some people, some of the most sanctified and holy people, that's where they got saved from. That's where they got saved at. A night in the club, a night at the liquor store. You know what I mean? Hanging out in the street is when they received their calling. When God snatched them up, because it was like, if you didn't move now or move when I told you to move, you wouldn't have ever moved again. You know? So situations, like I tell people, I don't like to talk about spiritual stuff because I deal in the metaphysics. And when you said the creators, I was like, yeah, because nobody can pinpoint and say God is this and God is that and God is this. It's a he or she or whatever. So when you said the word creators, I was like, yeah, because that's who I pray to. Because I actually whatever is responsible for my design, for human design. You know what I'm saying? That's who you give it to. Now, if you were raised in Christianity, you know, in the Muslim faith or Pentecostal or Catholic or whatever, you know what I mean? That's what you was raised in. But like you said, when you took your break, it's because you became a free thinker. You were old enough to start.
I look at it like I took a break because I wanted to see what was out there.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I think the curiosity of going, and when I say I took a break, I didn't go to church. I still had my Bible, right? I still prayed.
Yeah.
It's the idea of we all have a self-will within us, and we don't ever want to feel like we're being controlled, which is another reason why people struggle with mentorship. People don't want to submit to somebody else. And as men, we have a hard time with the idea of even submitting.
Right. That's true.
Now, I will agree that we don't pinpoint this as he or she. We know he's always spoken to as the Father. We also know that he made us all in his own image. Right? Male and female, he made them. And so I look at it in terms of everyone has their right to find that connection. All through a journey, like you mentioned. Some journeys go through the liquor store, the club, and no telling where you're going to be called into what it really is. It's the understanding that you got to at least have an appreciation for the fact that we are more than just a mind and a body.
Right.
Because if you always go through life thinking in that terms, you're thinking a 2D life when we live in a 2D reality. And so
you better be in love. You better be in love with that soul.
I had a conversation with a guy in the shower one time in Sona. He was in Sona. And his name was Muhammad. And he told me, he said like this. He said, well, you know, Murphy, you live here, you believe in God and Jesus. I was raised in Saudi Arabia. I believe in Muhammad. If you were Chinese, you'd have no God. And if you were Indian, you'd have 100. And so I think there needs to be a mutual respect of the fact that we're not here to convert people over or change them. I can tell you what worked for me.
Right.
And I have wholehearted faith and belief in what has worked for me. But I don't believe in knocking other people in regards to what they believe, because you know what? We all got free will.
That's right.
And I think, too, it comes with an understanding that I got enough faith to roll with my team. If you got enough faith to roll with yours, I wish the best for you. My God ain't competing against nobody else's God. My God reigns. So I'm good.
I hear you, Doc.
True, very true.
So yeah,
we all have free will. We all have free will.
So being a mentor and being every good mentor will tell you he used to be the mentoree, that he was mentored, right?
Yeah.
By male and females, because that's how, and I'll use the word universe. That's how the universe is created, masculine and feminine, right? So as a good mentor, you should be able to say, I had X amount of female mentors. I had X amount of male mentors. You know what I'm saying? That you have both perspectives on what you finally arrived to be. Because you can't say that you just had all males, or you can't say you had all females, because knowledge is divided like that in the universe, masculine and feminine. Anybody who's in the metaphysic world understand what I'm saying, right?
Actually, I think you're 100% correct. Masculine and feminine energy has a different flow to it. And the idea that anyone would buy into the fact that a woman couldn't teach me anything, shucks. As a man, I'm supposed to teach my son how to be a man and teach my daughter how a woman's supposed to be treated. And so I have to serve as her mentor. And then again, my wife has to serve as a mentor to my child. It takes two parents to raise a child is the best way to do it. And having mentors from different sexes is as well. Better input, understanding. And if you're going to go into business, you're going to be selling something to men and women. You need to make sure you speak a language that is universally heard. Because too much masculinity is too much. At the same time, too much femininity is not going to get respect.
Oh man.
Not from your perspective.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have to agree with both of you. The field that I work in, uh, I tie both of what I do. Work under the umbrella of with special abilities, helping them with skills of how. So it and what they're passionate and um
Poet, since you're going in and out,
Yeah,
well, at
It's
go
least
ahead.
like
on my end.
Yeah,
it's like
we
a
have a little bit
feedback.
of
in and out still.
A little bit. It's like feedback and in and out.
Jesus. Okay, how about now?
much better.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Oh yeah.
Okay. What I was saying was I kind of toggle into a little bit of what both of you do, and you are absolutely correct. As an independent entrepreneur and trying to teach my daughter the path as well with her book,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. That's beautiful. That
it's
is beautiful.
you definitely
Shout outs
have.
to Cocoa Puff.
Yes, shout
Yes.
outs to Cocoa Puff. You definitely have to, one, I would say you definitely have to be flexible in how you communicate. It's not just with people with special abilities, it's everyone. Um, and understanding, knowing, meeting them where they are in order to help build them up. Um, in the field that I work in, I deal with a lot of negativity coming from my clients. And it's like, well, I can't, or my mom said, or this, that, and the third. And it's like, okay, but what do you want? I
Mm.
am here to serve you, to provide a service for you. So tell me what your passion is. What is it? One of the questions that we ask is, what did you always want to be when you grew up? And obviously, as adults, we change, throughout life. But what is the one thing that never left you?
Mm.
And the outcome of that question in certain situations is amazing. I have one that wanted to be a basketball player, but life happened and it was like, oh, it's hard. And I'm like, okay, but what's your passion? Sat there for 45 minutes and couldn't answer any other question until I asked them about basketball. And then we had a whole conversation about that and how that was really their true passion. And someone just poured negativity into them. So now I gotta take and try to, I don't want to say reprogram, but kind of teach them to unlearn the negative and focus on the positive
Mhm.
in order to get them to where they desire to be.
How old? How
Yeah.
old is? How old is this person?
18.
18.
Mm-hmm.
If I had someone like that, right? Because I've worked with teens before, and being that I have I hate using the word mastered the construct of the city of Plainfield with how things operate, and it can be very depressing but educational at the same time. If that is something that that young man wanted to do, I would go over to wherever the city you live in, Division of Rec, and find out if he can volunteer as an assistant basketball coach.
Mm.
Right. Well, actually, it's interesting that you say that. Um, because like I said, the field that I've been in for over 25 years. So in understanding and navigating that, you are absolutely correct. When you deal with a multitude of 25 to 30 different clients, you have to remember 25 to 30 different passions and how to navigate towards those passions. So once
Yeah,
I did find out that that really was truly their passion, I then started working with that individual on how to apply for a position as an assistant coach and going through the
yeah,
processes with them. Um, So it's like I said, it is very interesting, and it's one of the most amazing things. Small steps in this field are big. So to see that client and other clients be able to fill out a job application or to go into an interview and feel comfortable enough to say, you know Miss Jackson, you could sit outside, I got it. And to come out with a huge smile on their face to say, even if I don't get it, the fact that I was able to go into the interview and use all the tools that you gave me to complete this task, to fight the anxiety, to not get depressed and shut down. Those are small rewards for me.
Yeah. I have a friend who's I went to college with her. Um and she has a bachelor's in psychology. And about 4 months ago, right, because of her, she's working through her medical stuff, and she's my age, right? One day we was talking, she was like, "Can I ask you a question?" I was like, "Yeah." She was like, "You want to hear something?" I was like, "Yeah." She was like, "I'm thinking about getting some therapy." And I said, "Huh?" I said, "Ain't you supposed to be the psychiatrist or whatever?" Right? I was kind of picking on her, but then I was like, I said, "I'm proud of you." That's what I told her. I said, "I'm proud of you, yo." I said, because it takes a very strong person with a bachelor's degree in psychology to say that they need to talk to someone. You know what I'm
Knowledge
saying?
and
Like
knowledge get you a couple.
yeah, that she dug deep enough and realized that, you know, that she needed someone to talk to. And I said, that's good, because the doc, whoever this person is, I said, they have a blank slate for you. You know what I'm saying? They don't know anything about your friends, family. You know what I'm saying? They don't know anything. So their opinion is going to be very valuable versus hearing my opinion, your sister's opinion, father's opinion, your brother's, your friends. You know what I'm saying? All of the opinions that drove you to wanting to speak to someone in the same field that you went to school for.
Dr. Murphy, you was gonna
So,
say something?
Oh no, I was listening. I
Oh,
think
okay.
about the fact that they say you can be as educated as you want to, but it doesn't stop the truth of reality from interfering in your life, right? You can be a grief counselor, but that
yeah,
doesn't protect you from having to deal with grief when grief comes. Same with depression, anxiety, substance abuse. All those things don't care about your degree, your knowledge, how much education you have. It just cares about you being human, which makes you susceptible to any of those things at any given moment. You know,
Absolutely.
one thing about being a doctor is that I guess having the education about the science is that a person can also then use that to try to convince themselves that they don't have a problem, because they can now intellectualize themselves out of having an issue until they catch themselves in enough trouble where they can no longer deny it. Right. Not
Absolutely.
just saying I got a problem. It's very important to get in early, because if not, you may actually arise to a place where your problem causes damage to other people, particularly if you're trying to take
Absolutely.
care of them.
Absolutely.
The worst doctors have created horrible issues. They didn't deal with their own problem. That's why you get situations like sexual abuse of patients or misuse and trust in things, right? People work out their frustrations with individuals who are
yeah,
vulnerable to it. So it's a very slippery slope for people if they don't recognize they need to take care of their issues. And that goes for mentors, that goes for psychiatrists. Hey, in AA, you can't 13 step, baby, right? I mean, it's just the nature of the beast.
Man, that's hard hitting. Wow.
so it's, but at the end of the day, everybody needs somebody to talk to about something, regardless
Exactly.
of, regardless of what it is. And
Well,
because I always tell my daughter and I tell other people, I said, the person who walks out that door in the morning to go to work, school, or wherever they're going, that's not the same person who walks back in the door at the end of the day.
That's true. change up in the minute.
It's a totally different person because every time we step out into society, everybody is combated with something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every day. And they bring that
Absolutely.
home, right? And then, God forbid, they got drama, and I'll just say drama, right? Or miscommunication or whatever at home. And then they take that outside to the workplace. When I was a counselor at the Y, my supervisor, Miss Sarah and Mr. Tilly, they said they had a slogan, leave it at the door.
Q-tip
And
it.
what they meant by that is whatever you got going on at home, whatever you got going on, do not bring it here to these kids.
Mm-hmm.
Leave it at the
Yep.
door. Because
Yep.
kids pick up on everything. If you come in with an attitude, or if you come in not feeling your best, or you know what I'm saying, the kids pick up on it, and that's how they're gonna act for the day. That's how they're gonna react to you. So Miss Sarah used to say, "Leave it at the door."
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
you
I
can't leave
agree.
it at the door, stay home. If it's that bad,
Yeah.
stay home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think another problem people run into when working with children, and this is important for anybody working with kids, is you can't go in there trying to match their energy, right? And I see so many problems when I worked in residential facilities with adults who wanted to be quote unquote mentors, then got frustrated when a child gives them some negativity, and so their go-to is to match that negativity. At which point you can't tell which one's the child.
Exactly.
Now we got
Yeah.
a bridge problem. They're both acting on the same level. The person who has the authority is going to show they have the authority, and many times that's going to end up in a pretty bad situation, right?
Yep.
I've seen adults
Somebody
hit
has
kids.
to be the adult.
Right.
Yeah, somebody's got to be the adult, and it can't be somebody 3 feet, 4 feet tall,
Wait, hold
right?
on.
You
Wait.
should never,
Because kids,
let a child control your emotions.
I,
yeah, because
I
kids,
have a problem
because
with that example because I'm only 5 even. Okay.
okay, well,
So I am
oh
only
no,
5
don't feel
even. Okay.
bad. Oh no, don't feel bad. My daughter, mother, your same height. Don't feel bad,
Okay.
right?
Because
But
I
listen,
can be an
no,
adult
no, no,
all
no. She
day.
is.
That's
Yo,
Yeah,
right.
she actually is.
hey, Pelesius, well, I just heard this. Hey, don't
5
worry
feet
about
is
that. I've
good.
slept with women your height.
Yeah, 5 feet. Nah, you know why I like 5 feet? I can tell you why I like 5 feet. You know why? Because I'm 5'8.5", and you have to look up at me. It just melts me. It's a good height. It's a good height. It turns me into putty. Like, wow, yo, like, it just makes somebody feel like. But listen, long story short, right?
Don't say it like
Kids,
that.
yeah, no, but kids, they're saving grace. Kids saving grace is they're the kids.
Right.
And you as the adult have to understand that regardless of what a child says and do, that's what they're supposed to do because they're
Absolutely.
the kids.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
you have to
Right.
understand that every day that you walk into that door, they gonna push those buttons of yours
Oh, how I
because that's
know.
what they do,
Absolutely.
Oh,
Absolutely.
I know.
right?
Absolutely.
They're
Miss
gonna
Kim,
push
you can
those.
concur
They're
to
gonna
that
push
one.
those buttons. They're gonna
Uh-huh.
push those buttons, but at the same time, the question is, are you mature enough and have that nervous still to stay the adult and
Right.
to
Right.
resolve
And
the issue like there is no issue?
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
Well,
And
Mr.
Dr.
Huff.
Murphy,
So I
you
understand.
Patience,
I understand.
right? Kids teach you patience.
Well,
And
Mr.
you
Huff,
gotta be
Yeah.
patient. You gotta be
I'm
patient with
sorry.
youth, right? Because
Yeah.
impatience
Yeah.
gets everybody messed up. And we've all been impatient at some point. That's part of
Right.
childhood, right? Part of being a child is being impatient, getting easily frustrated, not having tolerance for delayed gratification, wanting instantaneous gratification, whether it be praise or even sometimes punishment, right? The idea of the attention that they want, and not being able to express what they feel then leads to because many times they haven't even figured that out yet. Now you got a frustrated, emotional, irritated person acting in a way that's going to frustrate another adult. That's to come in there prepared. Hey, I was told this when I went to mental health. Always pray before you go into work.
Right.
Because sometimes you're doing mental health, sometimes you're doing spiritual warfare. And you better be prepared for either of those at any given moment.
Absolutely.
Because that demon in them knows how to pull out the demon in you.
Right.
Cause how did somebody 3 feet tall tell you where to go? How did somebody 3 feet tall tell you where to go and how fast to get there without you snapping?
Right? The consequences of snapping. The consequences of snapping will make you think twice.
So somebody has to keep they cool, right?
Right.
But you have to always remember that. And see,
can you guys
I
mute
tell
your
people
mic?
when I work with
feedback.
Somebody got feedback.
Somebody's got feedback.
Okay.
But that's what the kids are supposed to do, yo. They're supposed to be our challenge. And I was told from day one by my first mentor, she said, there's no such thing as a bad kid. She said, every kid has challenges. And it is your job and your position as the adult to figure out what those challenges are. And by the grace of God, by the end of the school year, to have resolved all of those challenges that they have, if possible.
Now, that's very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah, you know you're good when the class clown and Mr. and Mrs. Bad Behind becomes your new best friend by the end of the school year. That's when you know you're good at it.
Mr. Right? Can I ask you real quick? What happens what happens when? Okay, I think you and Dr. Murphy can agree on this. Everybody can agree on this on the panel. That it's not so much as the children sometimes that can be.
Somebody's got feedback. Can you mute your mics?
Somebody got that feedback. Okay. All right. So I was saying it's not so much as the child, but it comes from these so-called parents, some of these so-called parents who don't know how to parent, but they know how to be their friend. Would y'all agree to that?
Yes. Yes, I agree.
No, you're right. No, you're absolutely right. But and Doc will be able to tell you this. Here's where the problem comes in.
Okay.
If you are the parent and you have a child and you're trying to do super cool things with your kids, because you got some parents who drink and smoke with their kids, right?
That's what I was hitting on.
No, listen. Yeah, let me finish, right? But here's where the problem comes in at. When you have to be the disciplinarian, how serious are they going to take you?
That part.
That's where the problem comes in, right? Because 2 days ago, you was their best friend. You was chilling with them. You was hanging with them, right? But then when something comes across the table for mommy and daddy and you got to switch gears, are you going to be able to discipline them and them take you serious as they parent? So you have to be very careful and mindful when, especially in this day and age, like a lot of these young parents, right? They too cool with kids. My father, all he had to do was say it once or give me a look and I was done.
And you don't see it no more.
That part.
Now, see, I can say, because this is a constant conversation that I have with my peer group, because I chose to, and don't everybody clench their pearls, but I chose to gentle parent, right? So I do a lot of conversation. Yes, those looks work, but I have a conversation with my daughter. So when I'm having a conversation with her about her actions, no, we not cool, but we are friends. She can come to me and tell me anything and we can talk about anything, right? But there is also understanding that within that guideline, there are boundaries that are set. So you can tell me that you push little Jimmy, but please understand that with that comes consequences,
Yeah.
especially if little Jimmy and little Timmy didn't hit you first.
Well, a lot of like when you use the
We
term general
lost
parent,
connection with her.
right? It sounds like there's still that same level of respect that's demanded. And what
Absolutely.
we run into
Absolutely.
is that some people think of general parenting as not setting up a hierarchy of respect. They go into it in a sense, elevating the child to their level from day one as their
Right,
friends,
right.
right?
It's
I
a
have
it's
never
a matter
referred to
of
my
earned
dad by his
respect.
first name. Never.
Right.
My father's dead, and I still don't call him by his first name.
Right. It to me, it's a level of earned respect. Like we've earned respect, and it's a little bit of that, okay, I am your mother. But here's the part, like you are a person, you're not my possession. You
Right.
are a person. We can communicate with each other. Again, within those boundaries and guidelines and things like that. She would never call me by my first name. She think that's a cuss word. Okay. But she will come and be like, Mommy, I didn't like how you said this to me. And in those instances, I have to then rethink how I said it and if I said it within a tone. Like you said, most people get gentle parenting confused with permissive parenting.
Right.
And in that
Right.
case, North Philly, that's what you're talking about is the permissive. Oh, you want to get high and smoke? Let's go. We
Right.
gonna do this. You know,
And it doesn't solve nothing. For instance,
no.
it don't solve nothing at all because it creates more. In my opinion, it creates more problem for the child to actually function, to become a functioning adult in society, especially now since the parent or parents, you know what I'm saying,
Hmm.
is incapable of actually leading their child to be something productive in life. They just say, "Hey, let's hang out, smoke weed together, and play some Xbox, and oh yeah, clean up your room. Yeah, I'll get to it whenever." Man, if I did that with my mom was every bit of 5'5". She would get my brothers as their enforcers and whoop my tail if I moved slow. You know what I'm saying? Nowadays, I mean, some of the parents are afraid of their own children. That's
Yeah.
crazy. That to me is insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
You
anybody
know, like I
knows,
said, I've been a child now psychiatrist now for almost 20 years.
Hmm.
Right? And I've seen a significant change in what I used to do. Right? I can tell you, I've seen
Can you
kids hit their
guys
parents.
mute your mic while Dr. Murphy speaks? A lot of feedback.
Look, I've seen children hit their parents, right? We see a removal of discipline, which for some reason too also gets pushed on our kids through the government, right? You got to think about it. We live in a world where they'll tell you what you can't do to your child, but they'll shoot your child in a heartbeat, right? I'll never forget I had a conversation with an attending of mine, and we were talking about corporal punishment. And we had to come up with an agreement that at least we agreed that it's okay if you felt like the child could not afford to do it again. And I said, I'm with you, but also recognize that your child can afford to get away with a whole lot more than my child on any given day, right? And so what we get stuck with is the understanding of we need to be able to parent our children, but also recognize that each child has a different set of parents and every child has a different temperament and everything doesn't work with every child, right? Some kids, you could beat them till the cows come home and you didn't accomplish anything except make that child abused, right? And another kid may see that and say, I'll never do anything again because just watching it was enough for me. And both of them can be in a bad situation because a parent chose to do certain things. You have to be creative as a parent. I got to have your strengths. I got to have compassion. I got to know how to guide you towards something without turning you off from it. And every kid is different, right? Now, the problem is some kids then want to not achieve the same, but want the same rewards. And you got to explain that to them too, right? You all get treated differently because you all behave differently because this is raising a child. Everyone is different. You know what? I love what you said, Boy Essence, which is I've had to go back sometimes and tell my son, you know what? I could have said that better. That is not how I should have said it. Like, it came back from what Charles Stanley said, really, and it was this. What he said is every child has a recorder that they hear that plays in their head, and every word you ever said to your child will consistently play, right? You remember all the bad things that your parents said to you at some inopportune times. And that also feeds into the idea of the self-doubts and the beliefs, because we believe they were telling us the truth when they were telling us just about ourselves. And so we almost have to humanize them, or we'll hold everything they say 100%. When I could look at my parents and say, they could be selfish and self-centered and mean, and then I can look at myself and say I can be the same. And now if I catch myself doing that, I need to look at my kids and say, you know what, I'm human. I was wrong. I could have said that better.
Right.
We as
It's being
parents have
able
to
to
do a really good job
apologize.
of correcting ourselves.
Right. And it's being able to apologize,
Yeah.
in those moments when you are wrong. Or when, when you come off with a tone, especially when they can articulate why they feel that what you said was wrong. And sometimes it's like, I get that it hurt your feelings, but I meant what I said. So you're right. Parenting, North Philly parenting is totally different today than it was back then. We had we had those guidelines that literally they were there at birth. Like, you can't even cry too hard. Get your life together. Okay. You see me over here doing something. You had to sit there in that little rocker or jumper and just be quiet until it was your turn. Nowadays, the children are more on a microwave effect, and it is that you're my friend, you're not my parent. If you're a teacher, I don't have to listen to you. Um, it's a lot more aggression, but I think that along with all of those things, there's a lot of mental instability in there. And there's a lot of trauma that comes along with it that they cannot actually articulate what's going on, because they're taught that what their environment is normal.
Well, see,
What you say is so powerful, particularly when you look at the fact that ACEs, right? Adverse childhood events, physical, mental, sexual abuse, neglect from a parent, broken households, food insecurity, incarcerated parents, substance abuse in the home. All these things are adverse childhood events. You throw on top of that, these children actually exhibit what we do call real trauma. I say real trauma because we've watered down.
Please mute your mics, guys. There's a lot of feedback.
Trauma used to be threat of death to somebody, significant threat to the physical constitution, or sexual assault. Now what we've done, unfortunately, is I've had people tell me they've had traumatic breakups. And it's like, we need to really understand that there's adverse things, there's trauma. We need to really tackle these children who have these real traumas and give them the attention they need, and not pull the resources to those who are just having a bad day. What we run into is a problem where there's such limited resources. And unfortunately, the government doesn't even help to subsidize the help that people need in regards to getting the mental health that they want, right? They've made some laws that help with clearing parity, right? At least now insurance companies have to pay for it. But what we constitute as mental health in America, particularly when we're dealing with children, I remember seeing people who are they're the kid's the mom's best friend on Saturday, but now Sunday, you're suddenly that kid's mentor. We need to make sure we don't cross too many boundaries and ideas to try to fill this, and really get people who have been trained properly, who now I can respect you as an outsider. I can't trust you as my counselor if you're my mom's best friend. I know y'all talking about me. In addition, I don't know if you're looking out for my best interest or what you feel is going to make her happy. And when I work with children, I always tell them, listen, this is not about me coming back and talking to your parent about what's going on with you. And parents have to be willing to let their kids go talk to somebody. One of the most difficult decisions I made last year, I have a mentor program at my church.
Mm-hmm.
I let my son have a mentor, right? And at first I was a little hesitant because I'm like, why he need some other man telling him what to do? He got it dead, but yo, man, because it does take a village. It does take the ability for your children to feel safe and comfortable. My son knows exactly what I expect from him. And maybe if he hears that there's something similar from somebody else, he'll understand that this is not just me trying to beat him down, but me trying to build him up and prepare him for what he's facing because other men have faced the same challenges.
And
but when it's just coming from one person, you don't know how they're gonna take it.
And once he knows that, then that makes him a better young man for the effort of understanding from another perspective other than your own.
It helps build the trust, right, Mr. Hunt? You gotta have the trust.
Here's where the problem comes in, Doc.
All right.
Regardless, right? Everybody sees their parents as the disciplinarian, right? Yeah. Everybody. You can be as cool as you want with your parents, right? But in your back of your mind, you like, I could still get it if they want to give it. You know what I'm saying? Now, there's a difference between having your father and having a male mentor, right? Because your male mentor, you might tell him certain things that you won't tell dad. And the same thing with females, like the big brother, big sister thing. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, mommy and daddy got the belt. As much as you know what I'm saying? Like we can get in trouble. We can get in trouble for telling mommy and daddy certain things versus telling a mentor. You know what I'm saying? Because the mentor be like, okay, that was wrong, but this is how we're gonna fix it. This is how we're gonna work through it. Some people don't talk to some kids don't talk to their parents because their parents fly off the hinge about every little thing. You know what I'm saying? So even if their parents are trying to resolve the issue, they're yelling, they're screaming, they're cussing, they're fussing, that I don't believe this and what the F this, and you know what I'm saying? So it freezes the kid up and it puts them in a state of fear versus a state of trying to resolve the issue at hand. So that's the difference between mommy and daddy and a big brother or big sister. You know what I mean? And that's why we had go out and tell our friends things and everything like that. It's not that anybody has bad parents. Like if you have a good father and a good mother, that's great. But it's still going to be certain things that you'll never tell them.
You know what? I gotta tell you though, I had a very
respect over fear. That's my thing. Because you can respect you could fear your parents, but it's a difference between fearing your parents and having respect for them.
Yeah, I always felt like I knew my dad always had my best interest at heart. Right? I knew if there was one man, if he had to whoop me, was not trying to beat me down, that was my father. Right? It was his way of instilling a certain level of discipline. So I could accept that. Now, when we look at our children, we have to also then vet the people we allow to have the influence in on them. Right? Because everybody is not going to be, some people just feel like being the opposite of what your parent is what you need, and that's not right either. Right? So I always believe that if I am going to have somebody who's going to work with my child, I want them to have the same beliefs I have. I want them to have the same understanding. You know, we talked earlier about the universe and God. I say, if you're a Christian, you should probably go to a Christian therapist, right? You should make sure if you're a person of faith, if you're metaphysical, you may want to have somebody who also has a better understanding of where you're coming from to ensure that the moral character and understanding and rules and regulations that you are trying to instill in your child is still being instilled by the other resources as well. Not that they're coming out from left field going against anything you fundamentally believe to be true. And one thing is having that conversation with them about how you feel about raising your child, because you also don't want a mentor turning to you and telling your child that the parents just wrong. Right?
Absolutely.
Right. And I think that's why we have so many problems. That's one of the reasons we have problems with coaches. We can't even get coaches for Little League now because some of these parents don't want any discipline told their children.
That's true. Nobody can coach.
Yo,
I,
Aaron ready
I
to play your
agree
coach school.
wholeheartedly.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's taking a nosedive too. Because I remember when I was in high school and in Plainfield, when we had sportsman league, I don't think none of our coaches was walking around with Pampers and pacifiers for us. So
Man, we got cursed out so much when I was in Little League.
we was getting it, yo. You know,
Yo,
so
bull in the ring. You act up, they
yeah.
catching the bull in the ring. And my coach, my fifth,
And then
when I was in the fifth grade.
you had your dad standing on the sideline like, yup, give it to him some more. That's right. That's how you get it. That's right. Yeah.
That requires a parent to show up at practice. Some of these kids can't get a parent to show up at the game.
Don't come over here crying to me and kick you back into the Lions den. Yup. But but Doc, I did appreciate you when you said, you know, if you're gonna have somebody mentoring your child, to make sure that there's some type of balance and understanding of what your core beliefs are, and you know, and things like that. Because when you do have someone with a different perspective on certain things, then it kind of does. And I never heard that until you said it. It may cause some type of, I don't know, backlash, or you know, I don't know what word to use, but I can understand where some type of turbulence might come in. You know what I mean? Because say you got a Christian therapist, a Christian parent, but your mentor is Muslim. Those are two drastic different belief systems. You know what I'm saying? So it's I never thought about it like that. That makes a lot of sense.
And I tell you what gets even more complicated, it may be easier amongst Muslims because at least most Muslims who are called, like, you know, your traditional Muslims have the same core beliefs. Christian has gotten so many denominations now. What flies in one church and what flies in another are totally different things, man.
Yeah.
Right? And unfortunately, that's where we have to be careful, because people use the term Christian, but y'all got to make sure y'all believe in the same Christ.
I assume everybody that's on here is a Gen X, right? So if you're a Gen X child, you already know the worst thing you could do to us was tell us to stay our butts in the house. That was torture. Tell these kids to stand, they're like, okay, fine, that's cool, I don't care.
Right. Yeah.
That
Tell
brings
them
into the problem with
go outside after school, they'll be biting on the wood in the house, flipping out, yo. Or stay your butt because you're gonna clean the house and do some chores. That was torture for us, yo. That's why every Gen X will tell you our motto was that street light. That
I
was
want you
the
to think
motto.
about this. How bad then are these children who were in COVID, but they were just locked in the house, period, for a year? Right?
Yeah, but you should know that, and I heard the statistic that domestic violence went up during COVID too. That people was brawling it out with their spouses and relationships. It was domestic violence was through the roof because work and school was their saving grace.
They went stir crazy. They went stir crazy.
Well, we all need to have a relief and some time away from each other.
Yeah.
Right? And when these children in the home, you know, I give a shout out to all mentors as well as teachers, because everybody didn't have the temperament to teach their kid from home. And every kid didn't have the temperament to learn from a computer.
Absolutely.
And so you're going to see child abuse went up, domestic violence went up, substance abuse went up. And that's not to diminish the threat of COVID, but what did we pay for an illness that we really still can't say they know anything about? I don't know if y'all know, but I mean, I'll just say this. I took my daughters up to the Yankee Red Sox series. I had a cousin who played for the Red Sox, right? And we all had our vaccines. We go to the Yankees Red Sox series, 4 games, subway, staying in the same places all together. I only had one kid came back with COVID. Doesn't make sense, right? Now we're talking about getting more vaccines and things of that nature. Now, I'll say this. We need to make sure we don't follow what these organizations telling us about health, because your child should be getting vaccinated, right? The whole idea of dropping mandates is about getting eventually where the government doesn't have to pay for it to ensure that the poorest people continue to stay ill, right? It makes them susceptible. We have to, as mentors, teachers, and everything, and parents, talk to children about all of these things, which our parents never had to talk to us about. Right? We have to teach them the financial literacy our parents never gave us. How do they begin to start businesses? How do they begin socialization skills? You know, Mz.KIR, we had said one of the things to talk about was the healing process, right? How do we begin this healing process? We have to mentor, raise, educate, give them spiritual benefits and education. We got a lot of work to do. Right? I'm glad there are people like Mr. Huff. I'm glad there's Miss like Moses. I'm glad all of y'all are here, man, because you know, this is an opportunity to talk to people who y'all in Philly. I'm in Virginia. Y'all deal with so much more on a different scale than what we deal with.
Yeah,
right?
man.
Being able to, right, to hear what y'all have to deal with and know what y'all, because I got family in Philly, right? My grandfather used to own a little greasy spoon on 9th and Wharton.
Okay. Okay.
Right. Harry Moore was my grandfather's name was Harry Moore, man, and I still got a lot of cousins up there, and I look at the problems in the inner city, and as we talk about it, man, you're up in New Jersey. It's amazing how these children would live so many different lifestyles, but still have to deal with the same problems.
Right.
And that's the issue. Like the fact that we still got to tell them about the same problems. It's like we can't go anywhere and escape these problems.
At all.
At all.
It seems like it's inescapable. Like this briefly, like in Philly, we're dealing with a rash of, you know, kids who for their own self purposes, they're living out like these so-called gangster fantasies where they think they thugs, they think they hard, they think they, you know what I mean, invincible. And you know, when you were young, you used to think you were invincible too, to some degree, but they take it to the extreme by picking up guns and killing each other on an alarming rate. And now, it's like it seems like nobody can do anything about it.
No, Philly, you remember when Colors came out?
Of course.
When the kids racking red and blue the next day, had no idea what gang was.
No,
but they were in a gang now, right? Yep. NWA came out, everybody wearing the black and gray, right? Some of what these kids are getting into is the fact that the culture influences them.
Yeah.
Right? You know, so I did a post on TikTok, and it went like this. Do you want to know why the 40 ounce was promoted during 90s hip hop towards youth?
I saw that one. Yeah.
Right? Breaks down the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
One serving of liquor, 1.5 ounces at 40%. Beer, 8 ounces, 12%, or 12 ounces. If you look at malt liquor, the fact that it's more like 10% of 40 ounces, basically telling someone to drink 5 times the serving size. Essentially binge drinking, establishing that behavior. What is the culture that these children is growing up in? What is that culture teaching them about how they should act, behave, treat one another, talk to each other? You know, I go to the gym now. I had to say something about the music because I got tired of hearing all the N's and the B's and the music in the gym. These kids are taught it's okay to be derogatory against each other. And the people who brought us that it was okay to be N-words are still the biggest stars in music, because there'll always be an avenue for Black people being derogatory towards each other by an audience that will suck it up. We need to quit sucking it up. And how do we then tell these children that everything that's being promoted to them by the world is detrimental to them without them getting frustrated at us because we didn't want to hear it when we were growing up? We had to learn it later. So we got to be patient, except they're killing each other.
Yeah. That's the sad part.
That's the
that's
bad
the
part.
horrible part.
Oh, wow. The time. This was such a good, in-depth discussion.
Woo.
Woo.
I gotta
Oh,
check y'all
man.
out at some point. I gotta. Now, can I hear that spoken word when you do the live shows? The spoken word, do y'all put those on?
Wait, I'm sorry. I didn't hear what you said. Some feedback
When you
going
have your
on.
live events with the spoken word, do y'all ever stream those as well, or you got to be there in person?
No, I do them online for right now.
That's good. I want to tune in.
Yeah, I do them online for right now. Hopefully, at some point, I will get a venue and do it in person because I'm over here in Jersey. But I will be doing it in person at some point, hopefully.
What part of Jersey, by the way?
I'm in Highland Park, New Jersey right now. Right next to New Brunswick, Exit 9, and Edison. Exit 9, State of Mind. But yeah, I'm in HP right now. So it's nice and calm. It's a small town. We call it the mile long town. I'm next to Brunswick, New Jabru. It's very different. Like I said, it's a small town. It's very community oriented, and it's not in the hood. When I want to go to the hood, I just go across the bridge over to New Brunswick. And then when I done had enough of the hood experience, I can always go back over that little bridge over here back to Highland Park.
That's right.
Yeah, this is Jewtown, so it's a lot of Jewish people live over here.
I took my boards in Philly, and I got lost, and I recognized you can leave you can leave Philly and go into New Jersey for free, but they charge you to come back.
Yeah, they get you.
So with that being said, guys, let's see. Poessence, do you have any shout outs you would like to get? Oh, wait, before we do the shout outs, Maurice and Dr. Murphy, what do you want the takeaway to be from this lovely, in-depth conversation that we had tonight on Live with Mz.KIR?
Well, I'll go first if you don't mind, myself. One, it's important that we really invest in one another, right? From the idea of mentorship to parenting to helping each other, from entrepreneurship, child rearing, financial education. We understand that there's a lot of things going on that are combating against our youth and the struggles they're having. And so if you have the ability, be a mentor, be a friend, or like they call me on the internet, be an unk. That's what we are. We unks.
Yeah, we unks.
Talk to the nephews, but do it with a sense of respect. And they respect you back because no one wants to feel like they're being talked down to. And we have to just have that understanding that we want respect, yet what we define as respect may not be what they see as respect, and so they may not feel as though they're being disrespectful. So have a conversation to lay out expectations before you feel so disrespected you just don't want to have anything to do with them. And there's so much more that we could do in regards to taking care of ourselves and taking care of one another. So I just want to encourage everybody to dig in that. And now for my selfless plug. And if you want some lessons in empowering and overcoming, check out my YouTube page.
That's right.
I got a YouTube channel, Lessons in Empowering and Overcoming, Leo Ascension, a website, and I'll plan to be hitting up with some workshops, looking at probably doing one virtual, working on a thing called settling for the sample. How we can place it even with a little success, but understand that the Creator has so much more for us And so we need to find out what thought processes are contributing to us settling for the sample as opposed to reaching for the true greatness that God has for you.
Amen.
And so be on the lookout for that, because we're going there next. I want to take the mission on the road. I want to do talks in different facilities, and got a friend named Shaka. We're going to be looking at going to some churches, because we want to give that education at a level that everybody can accept it at. Not just hoard the best information for those who can be marketed to. Right? So be on the lookout, because you'll be seeing a lot of me.
Okay, Maurice, what do you want the takeaway to be for tonight's wonderful, awesome, in-depth conversation?
Well, first thing is, and whatever your journey is, remember to humble yourself and open up your mind and heart to knowledge, because knowledge will come in different forms. You know what I mean? Criticism, empowerment, self-reflection. You know what I mean? It will come at you in different ways. And the beauty of it is that soul that's in the body is the only one that can process it and put it to use.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes people say some things that push the right button and you might not like it, but you'll be like, you know what? They were absolutely right. You know what I mean? And sometimes that's some of the most powerful stuff that people can walk away with, is stuff that they didn't like hearing. You know what I mean? So, like the doc said about becoming a mentor, you know, you don't have to put yourself out there real heavy, but, you know, mentoring also comes through conversation, you know, and it doesn't matter who you're having the conversation with. And they always say, in the conversation, you might not agree with everything, but you're guaranteed to walk away with something. Because every conversation that you have with somebody, the way that the universe is set up, and if you're seeking improvement or seeking knowledge, that person will speak something of use to you. They might not be conscious of it, right, in the whole conversation or whatever, but you'll walk away with something and be like, yeah, that'll work. That was cool. You know what I mean? Or I didn't really want to hear that, but it'll work. You know what I mean? So communication is really difficult, because everybody mindset that's an adult is bills, gotta pay this, gotta get this done, gotta, you know what I'm saying? And that's what construct is gaming on, that eats away at us. And as it eats away at us, everything around us starts to suffer. If we're not coherent, paying attention to what's going on. Our kids, our spouses, you know what I mean? The job will do a number on you. And it will do a number on your situation if you're not able to, you know, separate the two universes, the two worlds between your job and your personal life. Because at the end of the day, a job will drop you like a bad habit and forget you like you was never there.
That's true.
You know, you have to, finding a support team is very difficult on this planet for everyone. It's very difficult, right? But I always tell people, don't look at that body. Look at that soul that's in that body. You know what I mean? Because that soul cannot escape anything that is going to nurture. You know what I mean? Regardless of who it's coming from, that soul will receive what it's supposed to receive, and then hopefully it will pay it forward some kind of way. So when you talk to somebody, never be, because everybody has a story. Everybody has a story. Everybody has trauma. You know what I mean? Some kind of way. Everybody wears a mask every day because, we're dealing with society and everything. So you have to find somebody that you can confide in, that you can talk to, that's gonna feed and fix that soul. Cause you can hit somebody, it might hurt for 5 or 10 minutes, but emotional stress and damage, that shit will last a lifetime. People are still walking around here 50, 60 years old dealing with something from elementary and junior high school that they haven't gotten over. Or things with their parents. But this is the one thing, God rest both of my parents' soul. Never thought I was going to be officially grown, but both of my parents are gone. So I can say,
I'm sorry to hear that.
parents can only teach you what they know, right? Your parents can't teach you any more than what they know. They can only teach you what they were taught. And that's where that generational curse stuff comes in, and you know what I mean? And things your parents can only do the best that they can do. Well, what they have at the time when you're born and when they're raising you. A good parent, they do the best that they can do. And they can only give you knowledge of what they have knowledge of. So as a parent in 2025, it's a lot of parents who want to do better for their kids, but they don't know where to start. They don't know what questions to ask. They don't know who to ask. So, is finding someone, and Doc, I see all your certificates and everything in the back, right? So,
Those are the only ones.
people
Those
should.
are the only ones I got there. I got more.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. You probably
I'm
live in a
messing with
little
you,
museum, right? You probably live in a museum. But everybody needs somebody to talk to, yo. But you have to be mindful of who you're confined in,
man.
right? You
Yeah.
can certain things, and sometimes it takes years to really trust someone with certain things in your life.
Right.
It's not supposed to be easy. God only promised us that one day we was gonna leave this joint. That was it. Everything in between. I don't know if you guys ever heard of the Dash, but it's a
Yeah,
poem that a lot of people say at funerals.
Yeah.
It's called the Dash.
yeah.
It's some real heavy stuff, yo, and every day we add to that dash. So communication and finding someone to talk to. Somebody told me in the business world, and then I'll let y'all go. They said, you talk too much. You give out too much information for free. It was like you should be charging people for everything that you say. I say, well, yeah, but I said that's my good deed for the day. It makes me feel good.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I tell people when someone says like that, Mister? Just like I was joking about the degrees. I did this. That's because you assume that's all I got, right? When people think that you're giving away too much, they may not understand the depth of what you have to give, such that you've already given them more than they ever could tolerate in the first place. I just have to look at it like that because I know that he's going to give me more because we're meant to give it away.
Absolutely.
True.
So with all that being said, great show, guys. Poessence, would you like to give any shout outs?
Of course. I would like to first and foremost give a shout out to you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This was another amazing, thought provoking, intellectually stimulating podcast. And thank you for allowing me to be a part of it, even though North Philly sent the AI people over here to attack me. I was an innocent bystander.
Dr. Murphy, we gonna create a monster.
Okay. I'm just saying, I was trying to help y'all. Y'all wasn't supposed to attack me. It was him. Anyway, give a shout out to Dr. Murphy, give a shout out to Mr. Huff. Both of you gentlemen, very intelligent, very motivating, very supporting. It was just that little bit of that I needed to continue to do what I do on a regular basis, to know that I am not in this situation alone. Um, and that the support, it's as a female being in the field of a coach, knowing that there are men out there that are really doing their purpose and working towards a positive goal and are not abusing the power that they have, but using the power that they have to uplift and build young men. I love it. North Philly, next time I need you to wear a hat, okay?
What?
Because the transmission, when we first started the podcast, right, you was right next to me, and I feel like my bonnet that I had on right now, they got our foreheads confused.
What? Yo, listen.
And I'm gonna just tell you, after growing up in a house full of 14 people, I never agreed to getting beaten for other people.
I know
So,
that's right.
Okay.
so
I'm
next week I'm gonna wear a toupee when I make my acting debut just for you, poetess.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Just for you, I'm gonna wear a toupee.
Thank
It's
you.
gonna be a
Thank you.
dead squirrel, but it's gonna make it look good.
That's all right. That's all right. And shout out to North Philly and his friend that he gonna put on the top of his head next week. Got you. It's in stone. It's happening. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
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 I'm gonna
oh.
have some of that communion wine for you. Okay.
See, you see you tell on yourself. You know you be going up there twice for communion. There's only one time.
Listen, I got 14 family members I got to
I
pray
know.
to. Okay.
You want to make sure you covered. Go twice.
Exactly. All the way.
Yeah, you covered by Bishop Jack Daniels.
Listen, I'm gonna be covered by Paul Masson a little bit later. All right.
oh, I can't.
Okay.
I
In the name of Jesus. But
Amen.
can't.
Ooh,
last and not least,
ooh.
never least, give a shout out to my baby girl who was very quiet
Yes,
tonight,
Cocoa Puff.
and she is getting ready for her event on the 24th and the 25th, which is the FTM Fashion Week. She's going to be there in Jacksonville, North Carolina, to talk to the youth and to
Oh man.
Okay, Cocoa Puff.
Okay.
yes.
Yes.
Yes, and of course to promote her book. She is a published author at 10, and she is
Wow.
doing an amazing job. She
Man.
has the ability to market herself in ways that I did not know how to do at 9 or 10. But
Wow.
truly amazing. Her
Yeah.
book is called Megan's Magical Adventure. Um,
Go,
it's a
Cocoa Puff.
it's a hand it here. It's a chapter coloring book. It talks about building friendships, keeping friendships, communicating, anxiety, depression, and all those great, wonderful things that our children do deal with that we often feel like they're not old enough to deal with.
Hmm.
So just hand me one, ma'am. Just one. As you can see, she's over here trying to pull out both of them because she said
Oh, okay.
y'all need
Okay.
to
With
see
the
both of
with the
them.
plug one,
Okay.
plug two.
That's self promotion. It was told to me like this: successful people don't mind promoting themselves.
I'm trying to tell you.
You can hold this one and you can hold this one since you want to bring it up. There you go.
And one of them is from Barnes and Nobles.
Yes. So
This one. This one's from Barnes.
say hello.
Hey y'all.
What's up,
Hi,
Cocoa Puff?
Cocoa Puff.
Okay. And she's marketing her books. One is in Barnes and Nobles and one is in Amazon. But if you want a signed copy, you can inbox me. Um, put those back. Thank you. So yes, that is my shout out. And if you're feeling generous, you can also purchase my book, both of my poetry books on Amazon because
That's right.
that's
Promote
right.
that book, Poessence. Promote that book,
That's
girl.
right.
Yes.
Yes, as you can hear, she's over here like please because she need to make some money too. She done sold way more books than I have. Apparently, I'm the broke bestie. Okay, okay. I'm the adult broke bestie, and it's okay. I'm comfortable in that because she's learning, so many different avenues of being an entrepreneur and being able to manage money financially. So, and learning how not to be broke. Um, I don't know. I can't say nothing because I raised her, but that is my biggest shout out for tonight. Thank you so much. I appreciate all of the knowledge that was given and poured upon everybody. And like you said, if you learn something, there's always a takeaway.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
North Philly, do you have any shout outs you'd like to give tonight in my Bernie Mac voice?
Absolutely. First off, guys, thank you, Mz.KIR, once again for allowing me to be the Black Egg McMahon that I was destined to be. That's it. And thank you for allowing me
Right
to
on, right
return.
on.
Poessence, I'm giving shouts out to you and to Coco Puff for her entrepreneurial skills and how she drops those two books like a hot, which y'all should pick up right now to support the young Black poet. Yes. Got me what writer that is. You know what I'm saying? And I'm still gonna wear that squirrel next Saturday and Sunday when I make my acting debut just for you, Poessence. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna take a picture, you know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna send it to you with a squirrel that looks like a toupee.
All right,
Just for
now I'm
you.
gonna hold you to it. I'm gonna hold you to it.
You know what I mean? Shouts out to these fine gentlemen, Mr. Huff, with your knowledge and that you divulge to us. And I pray that those who are listening on YouTube and on Facebook that they ingest this and they take it as a lamp into their feet and a light into their path in order to gain more the possibility of them having success without being, holding an offense like, is a critique if they fail. Because it's all right to fail as long as you keep trying. That's the whole thing. Nothing beats a failure but a try. To Dr. Murphy, your input was impeccable. You gave us insight on things that like I said, like we're going through in Philly as well as abroad, in hopes that it will improve people's standings and understanding that you have to and confront these things and try to rectify these things that are happening in our communities that can be rectified if it's allowable by the persons who are undergoing it. I got to salute both of you gentlemen for your input on this highly intellectual conversation, and hope that people garnered some insight from this.
Well, I thank you for reaching out, brother.
So
For both of y'all reaching out, man. Hey, we just gotta learn how to support each other.
I agree.
Dr. Murphy, do you have any shout outs you'd like to give?
One, I just want to thank you all again. Well, I want to thank Mr. Huff. I love his insight on entrepreneurship and what he's doing in the community. Poessence, man, the fact that girl has 2 books out already is just so impressive. The general parenting is working. Right? Like he said, North Philly, love you, brother.
Thank you.
Really appreciate you and you too, Mz.KIR, man, what you're doing. Y'all show examples that there are people out there who can teach you a lot, can help you along the way, and who can accomplish things that they put their minds to in all aspects of what we talked about tonight.
Yeah.
And so I just want to give a shout out to everybody who listened, to everybody who will listen into the future, right? Because this is something that is now there for people to reach back to and garner. And like you mentioned earlier, Mr. Huff, the truth doesn't get old.
No, it don't.
Right? And so they'll always be able to come back and understand this is the truth. I want to give a shout out to all the people who are out there raising their kids and dealing with these situations and willing to correct themselves as we go along this. And also to the brothers at my church, because one thing I found that's been very helpful for me is having a group of men who serve as brothers to me. And we meet on every Thursday, like-minded men. It's called Kingdom Men. And that's important. And also, last but not least, my family. They have tolerated me in the businesses that were successful and the businesses that weren't, through the frustration and the burnout, and still here for support. And of course, God, because without him, we wouldn't be here together sharing these moments. And so it's been real. I've really enjoyed myself. Thank you all.
Amen. That's love. No love.
Okay, Maurice, do you have any shout outs that you would like to give?
Shout out to Cocoa Puffs. It's always good to see a young person, be male or female, that took the leap of faith. And I'm sure she had her trials and tribulations and her good days and bad days, right? But she got it done. And she was holding both of her successes in her hand, right? Now, the money aspect is good, but just to be able to hold her 2 books in her hands, that's a lifelong accomplishment that no one can take away from her. You know, when she gets her mother's age and our age, and I'm 51, I got enough gray hair to prove it, right? 30, 40 years from now, she can look back and be like, it was doable at 10, y'all. So what excuses are y'all giving me? I did it at 10.
Absolutely.
Inspire me to get started on my book.
Right? So she's growing up in a different generation, a different mindset, a different time in the world, right? So being that this younger generation has access to everything, they just need to learn how to put it to good use. Somebody has to show them how to put it to good use.
Mm-hmm.
So it's doable at 10 years old. So if that's not inspiration, I don't know what is. Until she run into her competition at 7 and go, I got 4 books. Right? We're talking about competition. But that 7-year-old might not be born for another 10 years. You know what I mean? So as time progresses, technology progresses, knowledge progresses, right? She created 2 family artifacts. I still have the Twin Towers from 9/11, the newspaper that came out the next day, sealed in plastic, and I have the newspaper from when Barack first got elected president, sealed in plastic. So her first 2 books should be, 2 copies of her book, one of each should be sealed in plastic.
Absolutely.
So it is doable as a 10-year-old.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay, I would like to give a shout out to my mom. I don't know where she went. I guess she'll finish watching. But shout outs to my mommy. Y'all get her book too. I'm not just saying it because I'm her daughter, but it's a good book. It's very insightful. It's very inspiring. It's a tearjerker. My mom's a strong lady. She went through a lot. She was a single mom who raised me, and she's just, I love her. So get her book. It's called Pretty Ugly, How Low Self-Esteem Nearly Ruined My Life, or Almost Ruined My Life, excuse me. by Barbara M. Barnes. Look at the book. Shout outs to myself. A public service announcement. My book of poems is coming out, folks. It's coming out. It's coming through like the woo-soo. Okay. And shout out to Antoinette Gross, the visual artist who did 6 illustrations in the book. She's a dope artist. She was on my show back in last September, her and Kanisha Akra, and then she also co-hosted back in January with guest Levine Hamilton. So big shout out to Antoinette. I love her. That's my sister from another mother. Shout outs to you, Poessence, and for co-hosting. And why my computer is just things popping up on the screen. Like I said, shout out to you, Poessence, for being my co-host. Appreciate you, girl. Okay. And folks, get her book. Okay. My computer, goodness. And get Cocoa Puff's book too. Okay. Shout out to Maurice. Okay. Plainfield, where y'all at tonight? Where is y'all at tonight? Okay. P-Field, come on. Y'all gotta watch the replay. P-Field, come on, P-Field. Stand up. Thank you, Dr. Murphy, for being on and giving great insight as well. North Philly, the Black Ed McMahon.
Yes, you are correct, ma'am. Yes.
You in Poessence, man, y'all.
Hello.
Oh, my awesome co-host. Live with Mz.KIR wouldn't be live with Mz.KIR if it wasn't for you and Poessence and Rosalia when she comes through like the woo. So
Listen,
thank you.
Poessence is she just keeps me on my toes and on my hair, which I ain't got none. You know what I'm saying? So it's they ain't really a stretch. You know, I'm just saying.
Well, you'll have that new hair. We'll be looking for it next week.
The squirrel.
Just outline your forehead though. Like take a little bit off. Take a little bit off. Don't put it so close to your eyebrows and just look like you furry from like your nose up. Don't you gotta outline it right.
Oh, you know what? Scratch the squirrel. I'm gonna get a hairpiece that look like Billy D. Williams.
Get that Beijing, right? They can stitch that in for you, man. Don't wear it for a day, wear it for a month.
Exactly, Doc. I'm gonna rock it for a whole month to see how it works.
A man unit like Steve Harvey. All right.
There you go. I just need AI to decipher the difference. Okay. Because they got us confused tonight. So what I know is I can't wear my bonnet no more. So we don't get mixed up.
So we can differentiate.
Oh my God.
Exactly.
Oh,
I want to also give a shout out to my second born, Big Dude K, and my firstborn, T Noodle.
oh man.
And shout outs to Teresa Hazel Eyes and all of my Live with Mz.KIR weekly watchers and those who will watch and all that good stuff. Next week we have coming to the stage, Francisca Nunez. Oh, I love Francisca. She's going to be our guest next week. She is an activist and a domestic violence survivor. So we're going to be breezy with Francisca next week. Okay. And on the 17th, the following week, we're going to have Writer's Block. Remember, Jaquise Armstrong. Jaquise, yes. because I ain't seen Jacquees in a New York minute. So this is gonna be a writer's block party. Okay. And also our other guest will be Miss J. She plays several instruments and she does poetry. So she's gonna be like an Ngoma. And the following week we'll have Joanne Diamond. She's going to come through with her poetry. And then on the 25th, we're going to have open mic part 8. Yes. So let's see. Any other announcements? I think that's it. Just want to say thank you, everyone. Thank you to co-hosts. Thank you, guests. This has been another episode of Live with Mz.KIR. I am Tanisha Jacob. Not the jeweler, but I drop poetic gems. There's no S at the end of my name. Okay. Affectionately known as Topra. Again, shout outs to James Ellerby and Orlando Chandler for giving me that name. And shout outs to James Parrish, Jimbo. Okay. P. Phil, you need a shirt. Third Eye Customs. Okay. You see Jimbo. Your Moss guy. Okay. You need some sea moss. Health is wealth. Tell him TJ sent you because that's what he calls me. If you need that sea moss, okay, tell him, reach out to your Moss guy. Say TJ sent me. Okay. Shout out to Camille Alexander Thompson from Game Changers Productions because she was the one that made it possible for James Ellerby and Joshua Robinson to be on Live with Mz.KIR. And shout outs to Rosalia. Shout outs to Jonathan Ware, After 9. Shout out to my dog, Ray Cerrone. Okay. SK Silent Night. Y'all got to check out his album, Moody Black, Walker Valdez. Shout out to Karaja Yashar, the book publisher. Shout out to Wakiba. That's my other dog, Wakiba. Okay.
And Talam AC.
Oh, yes. Talam AC. Okay, come on down. Come on down, Talam. Okay, come on down. And of course, shout outs to none other than Black Ice.
Black Ice.
Listen.
Jack Park.
Okay, that was monumental, and we're gonna bring Black Ice back on. Poessence, North Philly, y'all ready?
Born ready. Born ready.
Okay.
Born ready.
That's what I'm saying. And that is all for tonight. Be breezy. Remember, edges matter. Edges matter. Don't let no one tell you that edges do not matter because they do.
Unless it's me, I ain't got my edges always. It's waiting next
Just
week.
paste
Next
them
week
on.
you'll see my
Just
edges.
paste them on.
Edges matter. Breeziness matter. And with that being said, I'm wishing everybody love, peace, breeziness, edges, and soul. Good night.
Peace, y'all.